I want to let people know that we still only human.
I will tell individuals that, we still just human. Here's a thrill ride story for you guys. The dramatization-filled adventure of Wendy Williams and Kevin Tracker has taken one more turn. I take responsibility for my activities. You know, for what's conspicuous out there, clearly something else. Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Celeb Live channel. So fans have been watching with supported breath as reports circle that Kevin is slithering back to Wendy, asking briefly possibility yet stand. By there's more, could this all be essential for an evil plot to oversee Wendy's funds? Or maybe even drag her into conservatorship? Fans are set up to brawl, begging Wendy not to succumb to Kevin Smith talk after he showed his real nature last time the more fruitful I got, and he got, and we put stock in one another, the to a greater extent a jerk he became jumping into their set of experiences. Kevin's undertaking with Sharina was certainly not a transitory snapshot of tactlessness. They're mysterious. Contact traces all the way back to as soon as 2007, a stunning disclosure that causes one to consider the profundity of their relationship. All through their secret relationship, Kevin pampered Sharina with gifts, frequently to the detriment of Wendy funds. Scandalously, he purchased Sharina a house simple miles from the home he imparted to Wendy. The daringness, many would agree, and I read about it in the web journals and tabloids, the location of this spot that he had bought to impart to this woodland. Yet Kevin's liberality didn't stop with extravagant houses and rich residing. He was emptying Wendy's cash into Sharina's undertakings consistently. There was the huge store in South Carolina that shut following several months, then the internet-based store called Vish that crashed not long after its send-off, and what might be said about the vegetarian organization he opened for her. Another failure. It was Wendy's cash at this point. Kevin went ahead and it around for Sharina as the open-bombed organizations. He actually upheld Sharina monetarily, demonstrating his unflinching commitment to her regardless of whether it depleted Wendy's ledger. And we should not fail to remember the understanding that Wendy and Kevin had. He could have his issue, yet would never impregnate Sharina. Obviously Kevin broke that too. Wendy's response was quick. She terminated and separated from him around the same time. No big surprise, Wendy once said. I don't suggest that you work with your better half, since I made him my chief, and afterward when I chose to separate from him, he must be terminated. At the end of the day, I made him separated and jobless across the board. Day unimportant, maybe. However, who could fault her to start with? It was unpleasant. You realize it was extremely open. It was extremely open. It was it resembled some other separation. The provision installments were a staying point for Kevin. He assumed, he figured, much to his dismay, she had ahead of when she quit dealing with the way that went halted, thanks to a cunning addition in the understanding I am paying divorce settlement. Unexpectedly, Kevin found himself stranded. Kevin's penchant for narcissism and absence of comprehension of his lawful circumstance was on full presentation. The monetary destruction for Kevin Tracker was, however quick as it might have been, fierce, with the divorce settlement installments suddenly ending. Kevin's once agreeable way of life started to fall to pieces. He'd been residing in a very good quality local area, paying month-to-month property holders affiliation charges and keeping a way of life that requested critical costs, yet without the consistent progression of Wendy's cash. He was surprised, abruptly confronting bills he was unable to meet. Kevin's endeavors to support his past way of life drove him to go with a few frantic choices. He needed to auction an extravagance vehicle, a delightful Mercedes-Benz worth $215,000 at a much lower value, just to stay aware of mounting charges. His once excessive closet loaded up with fashioner brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Versace was gradually exchanged piece by piece in a frantic endeavor to raise cash, yet even these extraordinary marks couldn't fight off the looming monetary ruin. Kevin's home loan on his rambling $1.03 million chateau in New Jersey turned into a huge weight, with regularly scheduled installments surpassing $8,000. His MasterCard obligations, once sensible with the backing of support, swelled to an amazing $150. Utilities, food, and ordinary costs started to feel like mountains you were unable to ascend, and that is not in any event. Referencing his legitimate expenses, which were rapidly destroying up as he mixed to challenge Wendy's choice to stop the divorce settlement. The defeat proceeded with Sharina unloaded Kevin. When the cash evaporated, leaving him monetarily and genuinely dejected, a once unmistakable figure had wound up in a seemingly impossible situation. It said that Sharina was exclusively there for the moneta. Rise security and her leaving Kevin uncovered the shallow underpinning of their relationship. You do when you figure out your marriage is going to be as far as possible over Sharina's exit compounded an already painful situation. Kevin currently confronted the expected possibility of kid support installments for their girl, a cost he hadn't anticipated in his generally dubious monetary circumstance. Sources even started to conjecture about likely Chapter 11 as Kevin's funds kept on spiraling downwards. His public picture, previously discolored, endured further shots as accounts of his battles became public information. The incongruity of Kevin's circumstance was not lost on the people who had followed the Wendy-Kevin adventure. Once a figure of control, impact, and opulence, Kevin currently wound up in. A self-caused entanglement. His monetary choices, once reinforced by Wendy's prosperity, were presently uncovered to be shallow and silly. The tables had turned, and the one who once delighted in the lap of luxury was currently learning an unforgiving opportunity to gain some new experience and responsibility. His public tirades and forceful posing were supplanted with a frantic battle for endurance, a long ways from the days when he assumed he had everything sorted out. Sharina Hudson's part in Kevin Tracker's life was something other than a temporary issue. It was a determined relationship that appeared to be energized by monetary profits during the brilliant days when Kevin was as yet hitched to Wendy. William Sharia partook in an existence of extravagance, and it was all because of Wendy's cash. Kevin purchased her a sumptuous $765,000 manor, not a long way from where he and Wendy dwelled. He gave her gifts, including a lavish Ferrari worth $215,000, and subsidized her way of life with shopping binges and colorful excursions. When the cash evaporated, so did Sharina's dependability. As Kevin's monetary misfortunes mounted, Sharina immediately confined herself from the sinking transport. She left with the manor, the vehicle, and their kid, driving Kevin to wrestle with the monetary disarray they had both made. Her exit was basically as key as her entry into Kevin's life. She had protected the resources and left Kevin with the obligations. Sharina-wise, moving turned into a hotly debated issue, lighting banters about her actual expectations, and her cold takeoff. The narrative of Kevin and Sharina is a useful example that highlights the risks of crazy spending, lost trust, and shallow connection. Sharina's activities uncovered a side of her that many didn't see coming, to the side that was able to take what she needed and leave when the circumstances of now not fit her. Kevin's destruction was an immediate consequence of his powerlessness to see past the surface, entrusting his fortune to somebody who saw him as a necessary evil. It's an example in the flightiness of fortune and a distinct update that all that sparkles isn't gold. Now Kevin is thumping on Wendy's entryway again, with insiders guaranteeing he needs to apologize and reconstruct the